Generational trauma is when belief systems based on fear are passed down from parent to child. If the child does not heal from the damaging belief systems, that child will become an adult and pass the fear on to their children, and so on. Generational trauma runs rampant in our society. It is a poison that remains unseen because fear teaches us to find external answers for internal problems, making us blind to the disease that disguises itself as usual everyday life. Unfortunately, the only way to stop generational trauma is when the child begins to question those belief systems based on fear. The child may notice other families operate at some level of order in their daily lives and wonder why there is so much chaos in their own. This child is called a cycle breaker. The child is using awareness to see what is right in front of them so they can gain a better perspective on their search within their own internal world to discover their needs. Generational trauma is primarily passed down because the parent has not recognized that they have experienced a traumatic event. Even if the parent does become aware that they have experienced a traumatic event, the damage is still passed down to their children if they choose not to heal. When a traumatic moment happens in the parent's life, a poison called fear enters their body. Their brain began to develop and produce completely new belief systems based on this new fear. The parent's brain is doing its job, creating completely new belief systems to prevent whatever happened to the parent from happening again. The problem arises when the parents allow these new belief systems to run rampant and completely take over other areas of their lives. Unknowingly, the poison takes over the parents' lives. It begins morphing and manipulating reality as it passes through their senses. Looking at the world through this new lens of fear, the parent sees the world and its people in it as a dangerous place. At this point, the brain ramps up its ability to hyperfocus. It needs more power to sort and process everything that's entering through its senses to determine what is dangerous and what is not. Due to the constant overprocessing of information through the senses, the body becomes tired and begins to suffer. The parent's body needs rest, proper exercise, and nutrition. It does not like running at constant maximum capacity. It's not doing what the body is designed to do. The parents' bodies begin to break as they stay immersed in this hypervigilant state. The body ramps up the immune system into high gear even when there is no threat. This is a preventative measure because the brain constantly filters the information coming through the senses at record speed, trying to anticipate and predict the danger that does not exist. This is an exhaustive process, but a process that happens because the brain runs the belief system we give it, and then the brain tells our bodies what to do. This constant state of heightened immunity comes with heightened inflammation, which fosters conditions like high blood pressure, migraines, digestive issues, and many more diseases and conditions. The parents' bodies cannot take this kind of abuse. The impact this has on the child is that they will feel and see how the parent's body responds by internalizing the parent's energy. Children cannot speak a language, so they learn based on the parent's body language and how they interact with them and their energy. The child does not just learn things out of thin air to some extent, they are manifestations of the parent. The child sees, hears, and understands much more than the parent is willing to accept, usually, and the child internalizes everything that they need to put together in order to be who they believe they need to be. A massive problem that prevents the parent from healing is that the parent forgets or does not know what living a normal, fulfilling, and happy life means. The parent confuses familiarity with safety and believes that a life of toxic shame, emotional flashbacks, and crippling anxiety is what normal is. They adjust to the pain and eventually have children conforming to external pressure or believing that getting married and having children could make them feel better. However, it never does, because the parent operates on the fear-driven belief system that forces them to find external answers to internal problems. And in this case, external answers could be marriage and children. The parents of the traumatic event unknowingly raise their children under the same belief system that is based on fear because fear has become the parent's reality. This happens because the child learns by internalizing the reality that is reflected back to them from their parents. The fear that the parent holds is then passed on to the child because the parent is unable to shield the child from their own fear-based beliefs. This creates a cycle where the child's worldview is shaped by the parent's fears and anxieties, often without the parent or child being fully aware of it. The child internalizes these beliefs and may develop similar fears, anxieties, perpetuating the cycle into future generations. That is generational trauma. Breaking this cycle involves parental awareness and intentional effort to address and manage their fears and create nurturing environments that foster security and confidence in the child. This process is critical because generational trauma can be stopped at any time in childhood. Parents need to understand how their fears impact their children. Parents also need to learn how to develop love-based belief systems to swap out with their fear-based belief systems so they can properly see, hear, love, and protect their children without passing the fear-based belief systems onto them. This is very difficult, but everyone has the gift of choice. The cards you have been dealt may be unfortunate, but nonetheless, it is your job to heal, overcome, and create purpose. It is your duty to aim up and choose to treat yourself and others with love and respect, regardless of what happened to you. You must understand that just because fear was given to you does not mean that you have to pass it on to somebody else. Bravery is doing something right in the face of adversity. You do have a choice here. This is hard work and it's not easy. If we do not heal from our past and become aware of our own emotional patterns, we're more susceptible to perpetuating our current resentment and dissatisfaction in life, which is passing our fears on to our children, because we turn a blind eye to the fact that we may not be the hero of our own story if we don't try to heal. Just because we may have grown up in an unsafe environment does not mean our children have to grow up in the same environment. Making a conscious effort to become self-aware is necessary in the healing process, so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about self-awareness right now. Self-awareness involves seeing yourself as someone else. Observe your language, thoughts, and physical actions throughout the day to discover what you do and why you do it. Understand that behaviors are clues to an internal world. Analyze your behavior patterns to find your internal world. Use self-awareness as a tool, a first step to discovering yourself. Use self-awareness first because it's pretty simple. If you're watching this video, just take a step back inside of your mind and recognize that I am here watching this video. Just become aware of your actions. It's a good first step because people often try to dive straight into the traumatic events, but oftentimes those events can be too much to process on your own. I always recommend learning self-awareness first because it will become your safety net when the flashbacks come as you begin exploring your internal world. You will be able to catch the emotions as they come up, triggering moments will be easily identifiable, and you'll begin to understand that you have specific needs that were not met. Seeing how to get them met will become more clear through self-awareness. Self-awareness is essentially operating at a distance so you can gain perspective on your life. You're too close to your problems to realize that the system you use to label problems is the problem. You need to back up to see the full picture, then begin operating from love-based belief systems instead of fear-based belief systems. This is not the only way to go about ending generational trauma, but it is the angle and approach that I am taking. It has made me more self-aware of my own belief systems and how I had a negative view of the world because of my childhood. When I took a step back, I realized that I was taking things to the extreme, overgeneralizing and overthinking everything. I found that my life was really not that bad and it was quite good, and I'm blessed to be where I am today. It took about 2 weeks of consistent work with self-awareness before I could even remotely catch my thoughts as they came into my consciousness. I realized that I labeled emotions as good and bad, and I would hold on to the bad ones as they passed by because I wanted to fix them. I wanted them to go away because I was running a belief system based on fear that was telling me that it is bad to feel anger and jealousy. This made me hold on to them because I wanted to eliminate them once and for all, so I would never feel these emotions again, or I would completely abandon them and ignore them as they would pile up in my mind over time. I realized that self-awareness helped because I was able to witness my emotions. I allowed all feelings to exist, removed labels from everything, and allowed myself to feel angry about what happened in childhood. Instead of trying to eliminate anger itself or ignore anger, I allowed it to exist, and when the emotion was seen, heard, loved, and protected, it went away. I was left in the present moment, able to be present for life as it flowed through me. The biggest takeaway here is to let go, stop forcing things, and allow yourself space to exist. You have needs, spend more time taking care of yourself and nurturing healthy relationships. It's your duty to take care of yourself, and nobody else can do this for you. So that's really all I got for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.